Good news, everyone!
It's Jake Ciely.
And there's a surprise in your cereal box.
I'm great! Everybody else sucks! Let's get dangerous!
Yes, sir, random kid I just met.
It's time to check the lid.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
You know what? You just made the list!
Hooray! People are paying attention to me.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
What is up, you ducks? It is almost week 1 of the NFL season. This is the final preseason show. That's right. Next week, next Monday, we're going to be talking week 1 fantasy football. NFL season is here, and we had the cuts yesterday. So a lot of talk about who got cut, who didn't get cut. Jonathan Taylor, we get to talk about him again, Lauren. It's at Stepmom Lauren over at FTN. Code all and get you 20% off. And a reminder, if you waited and waited and waited and waited at The Athletic, well, then you waited for a good time, because right now until the season starts, which means you have a handful of days left, it is $1 a month. It's $12 for an entire year. If you're wondering, like, hey, it's behind the paywall, can't really complain much about the $12. But speaking of complaining, if you are one of the people who continue to have problems with Apple Podcasts not only nuked the old show and created a problem, and why we did our contest, which the giveaway is a little bit later today in the show for the winners, the FTN Plus and Madden, but their response to us was basically like, oh, well, tell them to respond and complain themselves. So here's what you have to do. We're going to bombard the out of them. Yes, if you're watching on YouTube, there's a graphic on the screen. Report your concern. Tell them. Say, it crashes every single time I try to subscribe, and just hammer them. I hope we get 1,000 responses, and that's what you get, Apple, for not telling us that we needed help. Like, oh, we can't figure it out on our end, so tell them to report a concern. Okay, 1,000 of you, all of you, 2,000 of you, 10,000 of you, all of you. Just even if you don't have a concern, report a concern that every time you try to subscribe, it crashes because they don't believe it's a thing. So anyway, speaking of not believing it's a thing, Lauren, I didn't believe it was a thing that Jonathan Taylor was going to be on the PUP. I actually sat here earlier in the day yesterday. My buddy was like, where do you think he lands? And I said, Colts. And I was like, I didn't think he was getting traded anywhere. This is the stupidest thing in the world, Jim Irsay. For everybody out there, don't be Jim Irsay in your fantasy football league. Can I say that? Can I say, don't put people on your trade block? Like, there's apps and sites where you can put people on the trade block and it tells everybody in your league. Don't be the guy who does that or girl who does that and then turn around and be like, well, I want Jamar Chase. Like, you can't say I want to trade somebody and then also ask for the sun and moon and stars. So Jonathan Taylor is on the PUP, Lauren. That means no 4 weeks. We don't even talk about Jonathan Taylor potentially playing until week 5. Could still get traded during the season. Could come back week 5. Could play only 2 games and get his year of service, Lauren, because being on the PUP means he gets to accrue 4 games, which is just the most baffling thing about the Colts doing this anyway. So on the PUP, I put him down for the entire share of the backfield, 33%, because I just gave him like 5 games. I'm like, maybe that's what he plays. It doesn't even get, like, I'm looking, and I said, you know what, I'd even move him further down in my ranks, Lauren, because that puts him like in the RB30s. I was like, you know what, I'll take Zeke over him at this point, because if something happens to Stevenson in week 1, people are going to go bananas for Ezekiel Elliott. Like, and we know that he has touchdown upside any given week anyway. Like, I just don't see a scenario where you're taking Jonathan Taylor even inside the top 10 rounds as of today.
No, I agree. And this is so frustrating because we just talked about this on Monday. And you asked me, where do you feel comfortable drafting Jonathan Taylor? And I said, I'm still comfortable in the 2nd, 3rd round. And now I look like an absolute idiot. This is just so ridiculous. And what is the incentive for Jonathan Taylor to come out and ball out for anything longer than, what was it, 2 games you said? There is
2 games
none.
he gets free agency.
Like, then if I were Jonathan Taylor and I know this organization doesn't even like me, I think I would do that. It's just so ridiculous. And it's sad because Jonathan Taylor is such a talented young football player. He is a talented running back. And to see this happen, it's kind of disgusting in my opinion for regular football, but for fantasy purposes, it's incredibly frustrating. Hopefully, when you went into your drafts, you did prepare for this and you prepared for at the time, what we thought was a long shot of this happening. Hopefully you prepared. I know I did that in some places where I just kind of had to take Jonathan Taylor where he was going. I also did draft players like Ezekiel Elliott, like Dalvin Cook, just in case something like this happened. And unfortunately, here we are. This is just sad.
Yeah. So, and unfortunately, here we are as the follow-up question a lot of people have is, then who do I get for the Colts? My answer, Lauren, is Anthony Richardson. That's the leading running back for the Indianapolis Colts. After that, I've been on the Deion Jackson train. Like I think, it performed well in times when replacing Taylor before. Looked good last year. I know they drafted Evan Hull, but he's kind of been like at least third. It seemed he was behind Zach Moss before Zach Moss got hurt. Then he was still behind Deion Jackson. Zach Moss is questionable for Week 1. So here's another, Lauren, for the remainder 67. Well, actually, it wasn't even 67% because Jonathan Taylor's 33 and Anthony Richardson's like over 20% of the rushing share. So there's only about 35-ish, maybe 40% left once you factor all that in. Maybe, I'd say maybe 55? Yeah, I'd say 55 at most. So I'm going to say more like 45. But after that, I gave Deion Jackson the most, barely behind him, Zach Moss, barely behind him, Evan Hull, which the answer comes out as in, don't go chasing Colts running backs. I'm not doing it. Even if Deion, put it this way, if waivers in your league don't start till after Week 1, and Deion Jackson goes off in Week 1 for this, he goes off for 10 for 70 and a touchdown, I'd still be like, I'll throw a few bucks, and if I miss him, I don't care. Now, if he's out there for 18 for 90, and he's getting that kind of work, then I'll be interested. But I don't think it's going to be anybody with that kind of workload.
I agree. And this is going to be something I know that you and I are going to talk about every single Monday once the season starts is which running back, exactly, which running back are we targeting on waivers for the Indianapolis Colts? And I think that is an appropriate time to start looking at it because we really don't know what's going on here in this backfield. We have no clue. There's very little data for us to go. Actually, there's none because Anthony Richardson is a rookie. So we don't really know what's going on here. I will give the nod, just like you do, to Deion Jackson because there is a substantial sample pool for us to go back and look and see how he does, his efficiency, yada, yada, et cetera, et cetera. So I think if I were to be forced to make a choice as of today, I would lean Deion Jackson here. I don't believe in Zach Moss, never have. So that would, that's just something I just don't even want to deal with. But we will be talking about this pretty much every week once the season starts and we get a little bit clearer picture. But until then, just avoid the Colts running backs.
Yeah, maybe if it's the final pick of your draft, round 14 before your defenses. Well, actually, round 15, because everybody listening to the show should be playing band kickers. So it'd be round 15 because then you just take your defense. Or don't play with either. And then you just have a lot of fun. Or if you're going to play with defenses, rejigger the scoring. We've already talked about that on previous podcasts. So we'll talk about another backfield, which is interesting because we got a question related to this backfield in a second. But the hype train, the excitement for Deneric Prince, went down real quick because he got cut. He's not even on the team. The backfield right now is Isaiah Pacheco, back from injury. Him kind of mixed in. Looked pretty good for coming off injury. Assume he's going to be back in the lead. Jerick McKinnon, who was MVP to some fantasy teams last year to the championship run. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's still hanging around, still kind of in the mix. Maybe worth a flyer to deeper league. Hey, look, if something happens to Isaiah Pacheco, you know it's not going to be Jerick McKinnon 20 times a game. What do you make of this? So does the cut of Prince make you feel better about Pacheco and move him up? Or does it make you more likely? You have to pick one of the two. Move Pacheco up to top 16 at running back, or take a flyer on Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 13th round.
Gross. I'll go Isaiah Pacheco. But we talked about this on our SiriusXM radio show, FTN Fantasy Show. I think it was a couple weeks ago when someone had asked us about this preseason hype around Deneric Prince, and my answer was, I don't care. And this is exactly why. Here we go. And so, because you're forcing me to do this, I'll take
I missed
Pacheco.
that. How was that? Okay. Isaiah Pacheco or James Cook?
I'll say, I don't want either one of them. I'll take Pacheco.
Okay, Isaiah Pacheco or Breece Hall or Javonte Williams.
Javonte Williams.
But what about Breece Hall?
I I worry about that. If I take Breece Hall, I'm going to have to hang on to him for, I believe, a minimum of 6 weeks in order for him to earn back his role from the new shiny toy and Dalvin Cook. So if I do draft Breece Hall, he's going to be sitting on my bench for quite some time. Obviously, looking at your roster, this is a generic answer I'm giving you here. But I'll take Javonte Williams because I believe that he, barring health, is going to be a lot more involved.
Isaiah Pacheco or Ken Walker?
Breece Hall. I'll take Pacheco.
Pacheco?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. We're not making a list. We were just kind of going through play.
I'm just making noises. So
how about? Here's one more I'll give you before we move on from this. Okay. Which, by the way, everybody can go to The Athletic again. $1 a month. You can see the updated rankings and everything with all the cuts and all the news. Isaiah Pacheco or J.K. Dobbins in the mysterious case of the swollen question mark knee for the people that used to read Encyclopedia Brown. Encyclopedia Brown and the mysterious case of the swollen knee.
Okay, I am going to go J.K. Dobbins here, but I'm taking him over to Pacheco based on the opportunity for upside, but I am nervous making this pick. But I will take Dobbins over Pacheco.
By the way, I just dated myself. People
you
know
totally
I'm a 90s
did.
Kid. People know I'm a 90s kid, but Encyclopedia Brown is a big throwback for everybody out there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you were going to throw out Britannica, and then I was getting really confused in my genres.
No.
Going on.
Do you think there's a giant landfill somewhere with just like encyclopedias?
I will take them. I am obsessed with encyclopedias. I'm obsessed with books. I don't know if you can see behind me. I'm a book freak. Yeah. I love books.
But you don't
so
need
anytime
them
I go to like a flea market or a thrift bookstore,
by the time you get to the page in the encyclopedia, like I could have given you the entire story of whatever you were looking up.
Point. It's nostalgia. It's the point. Like, so when I'll date myself here. So when I was growing up, we did have to rely on encyclopedias. We didn't have this thing called Google. And it kind of is that throwback, and I like to read. So it is funny to juxtapose what was taught as opposed to what is current. So it's kind of funny. There's actually a Modern Family episode where they banned electronics, and I can't remember the daughter's name, the really smart one, and she had to rely on encyclopedias, and she got like a D on her paper because they don't even have like these certain terms in science anymore. It's just so funny, but that's why I like it. It's nostalgia. I like the way they look.
I want to remember. I want to remember what it was like to get the Pony Express to deliver my mail. Like that's what it is.
I know. Just like throwing it off horseback. Just choo-choo. Here you go.
Choo-choo. How's that? Sticking with the Chiefs, Justin Ross made the team, which we're all excited about just staying healthy. But does that do anything for your answer at Chiefs wide receivers?
No.
No?
Mew.
The theme of today's show is mew. So... would you still take Sky Moore?
Yes.
Is that the only one?
Yeah, I think it is. If I miss out on Sky Moore, I'll take a flyer on Justin Ross. I don't have a lot of faith in it, but yeah, I don't mind Sky Moore. Here,
would you rather take a flyer on the rookie Rashee Rice, Sky Moore? No. Forget Sky Moore. We're all taking Sky Moore. Your flyer choices are only Rashee Rice, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Justin Ross, or Kadarius Toney.
Tony.
You have to take... Really?
Did I shock you? Did I shock you right now?
Don't listen to Lauren. Don't go wasting your time chasing Kadarius Toney. The mysterious case of not being able to stay on the field. Kadarius Toney.
The whole point of this is none. Unless it's
I'll take a flyer on Justin Ross just because it's such a feel-good story, too.
That's true.
The rookie thing we did last year, I think he's going to fall, that being Rice, kind of fall into the Sky Moore situation, especially because it's so clogged. The only clear answer, I said this is the free picks. Like, I'll take a flyer on Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Like, everybody's like, oh, well, he hits a big play and then disappears. And like, okay, Torrey Smith, wide receiver 3 for years? I mean, we played this game. Will Fuller was a wide receiver 1 for like 7 straight weeks playing this kind of role. And I'm not saying Marquez Valdez-Scantling is going to be top 20. I'm not even saying top 30. If he's 40, if he's 45, that's still startable in most leagues. He's the only person that's been out there as a 1-2 starter the entire preseason and then benched when the 1-2s are like out. So I'll take a flyer on him, but my second would be Justin Ross. All right, so Meanie's team kept every running back in existence, all 4 running backs. is the answer to this backfield for you, Lauren. Just stay away, or are you going to take a flyer on DeAndre Swift?
Oh, I think I don't mind taking a flyer on DeAndre Swift. Ideally, I would stay away. However, with the history that we know of with Rashad Penny, I do think that this could become
And Swift.
And that is true. That is true. But we're talking about a flyer here. I don't mind taking a flyer on DeAndre Swift, but in all actuality, give me Kenny Gainwell. I'll go there, like super duper late.
I mean, depending on when you were drafting, one of these, Boston Scott's always been the cheapest, but one of the other three, it's been a rotating of
Right.
who's the cheapest and who's the most expensive. It's been like, for a while there, Penny was the most expensive. They're like, how good he was every single time he touched the ball, and he's finally healthy.
He's been
And then
very
we got,
volatile, hasn't it?
I know.
It's
Well,
been-
then there's reports like Penny might not make the team, and then
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh my god, full panic!" And then Ken Gainwell was getting all the lead touches, and then it's like, "Oh, that was just one game of it." And so, anyway, I'm like same thing. Like I'll take him at a discount on DeAndre Swift, but I'd rather, honestly, where they're going, all of them. I don't even care Boston Scott. Like where they're going, I'd just rather take somebody else. Like somebody just asked MVS or Nico Collins. In that case, I would actually take Nico Collins. Even if MVS finishes better, at least I know Nico Collins' role. Like why I'd rather say, like, I'll give you an example. Instead of drafting Rashad Penny, I'd rather just take Jalen Warren. It's probably a round or two later because I could take a wide receiver where Penny's going because Warren is Warren. I'm not starting him. I'm never, like, I don't have to make that decision. I don't have to look at Warren on my bench and be like, do I want to start him this week? You're going to do that every damn week with Rashad Penny.
That's such a good point that you bring up, which I think not a lot, that's a gross exaggeration, but I think some to most people, when they are doing their drafts and it's like, oh, the upside, which we talk about a lot in the boom or bust. Do you want to have a player that is a plug and play, or is I know what his role is and you don't have to make those critical decisions and freak out every single week? And then you find yourself on the opposite ends, right? As soon as you bench him, he has this huge game, and then you start him the next week and it's terrible. It's so
You're chasing your tail.
frustrating. It is so frustrating. So I also try to avoid players that I know are going to cause me that drama. So I 100% agree with you there.
All right, so let's do the first of one of the two giveaways. So should we give away Madden or FTN? I'm not changing my answer based on what you said. I already have the answer in my head. So see if you
Let's
get it
do
right.
some super fun. Let's do Madden.
Oh, there you go. I was gonna save the bigger one for the final giveaway. So there you go. You won. Kind of hard to say. Everybody's on that spinning wheel thing with your thing. A lot of entries in here. There you go.
Wow, there are a
So,
lot. That's a pretty color wheel.
Thank you. It's the app. It's I think it's like random chance. I forget what the hell it's called. I don't want to exit it because if I exit, I have to watch the damn ad again.
Don't worry, I don't need to know that badly. It's fine.
So here we go. This is for Madden. Hopefully you have an Xbox. If you don't, hopefully you can give it away. This was to the person who left the review, Redalicious. 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 Is it supposed to be like ridiculous, but like ridiculous? I don't know. No, it's not ridiculous.
No, I need
Trying to
to
pronounce
figure
this
it
is
out.
ridiculous.
Yes.
That's like
You're
the
so
have you
smart.
have you seen the Instagram one with all the kids' names and they drive past the house and it's like DA'3 Avius or something like that, and they're sitting out there. It's like the 30 Avius, the 3 Avius, the Travius, like
The
trying to figure out.
Travius. It's 3. Trey.
No, but
I
it's
get it.
Travius. Like it's just This is
Travius.
stop
Clever.
doing this to your kids.
clever.
Stop making them miserable. Two more interesting cuts and backfields. Congratulations, by the way. If you don't have the Xbox code, by the way, find me. I was gonna say follow me on Twitter. I'm assuming you're gonna do that. Find me on Twitter to be able to get your wins and winnings, and make
thank
sure
you for leaving a review.
Yes, no, and even if you did, go bombard Apple. They're getting everybody. I seriously want them to get like 1,000 reports. Maybe then they'll care about fixing something. Asshat. I want to throw this into the river. Like I want to throw my Apple iPhone into the river just after this. All right. So what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Malik Davis was cut for the Cowboys. Does this? You have three options here. Does that make you move Pollard up at all? Does that make you interested in Rico Dowdle? Or, because I like my voice skipped on the first one. Or do you not care? And this is just Dowdle for Davis, and this really has no effect for you.
It has no effect for me.
Okay.
No effect for
Okay.
me.
You still taking flyers with me on Deuce Vaughn, though, right?
Yes. So I think it does actually promote Deuce Vaughn, in my opinion. That wasn't one of your options, so ergo, I just don't care. But yeah, I definitely, and we talked
Since
about
when
this
have you
before.
stopped about like I give options and you're like option
No.
D, which you didn't even say.
I was trying to be a team player, but I'd give up because that's not fun. Deuce Vaughn, that he moves up for me. We do the comps to the Darren Sproles, and all he has to do is just like hide behind an O lineman, and just be a ninja. And that's what I love about him. And as someone who grew up very, very short for a very long time, I like this man. You go get it, Scrappy McGee, and we are going to make it happen together. I did grow. Now I'm decently tall. But I'm telling you, Deuce Vaughn is going to surprise some people. I like him.
Oh, what is it? Heightist? That's what I'm going to call you. You're a heightist.
I'm an ageist. I'm a heightist. Whatever. I'm very judgmental, I suppose.
Get off my lawnist. All right, so I'm kind of mad that Meanie doesn't get to be here for this one, but we can talk about the excitement of it. The interesting Dwayne McBride cut, just drafted and cut. There was actually about 2 or 3 rookies out there offensively that got cut, and I think one was with the Bill. Somebody got cut with the Bills. I forget. No, I don't know. There was one team out there. It was the first time in like forever that this team has cut one of their draft picks. I want to say it was the Bills, but I don't know if it was an offensive player. Oh, no. It was the Jets. They dropped my boy Zach Kuntz from ODU, the tight end. It was the first time in a while that they've eliminated somebody they actually drafted the same cut year. So that being said, Dwayne McBride is cut, which means continue to draft Ty Chandler as that backup plan. Continue to draft Ty Chandler. I would take Ty Chandler before Rashad Penny because I think he could be sprinkled in and potentially have an RB3 value similar to a J.D. McKissic, Tariq Cohen, Darren Sproles, Dwayne McBride, something like that, just to give him touches every single week. And then if anything did happen to Madison, has a very similar skill set. By the way, they had Nguanu on the team. I don't know if this means he's getting cut, but they just picked up Myles Gaskin to kind of tell you what they're doing.
When did that happen?
Like this morning. So,
got it.
But that just tells you, like, first of all, that's kind of damning for McBride that you got cut and they picked up Myles Gaskin. But that being said, the whole mess behind here, I think Chandler is the clear backup option and could have weekly value.
Agree. We talked about this on Monday, and I don't believe that Alexander Madison has the sustainability to be the bell cow that I think people want him to be, and they're going to need to bring Ty Chandler into this offense more often than not. And what I think is going to happen is he's going to turn into a touchdown sniper, kind of like a Damian Harris situation. So this is murky, but I think Ty Chandler is definitely the clear RB2 here.
And Lauren just keeps putting running backs in the stands with like dart guns and taking out the other running backs.
Pew,
They get to I don't
know.
Really ever. You've clearly never shot a gun. Like you've never played paintball? Like, you just, like
oh no, I have shot weapons before. I live in Florida. I can't go camping without being armed. Like it's a thing.
So when if you see like a bear or a gator, you just start going pew pew pew.
No, I'm not
they
kidding.
run away.
Like, we have property, and like if I stay at the property, if I'm doing something, fixing something, and people go dirt biking and 4-wheeling, like my husband leaves a gun for me because we have coyotes, we have cougars, we have wild boar.
So you're gonna be the one when we see on Twitter when it's just like, of course it's in Florida, and it'll be like, Florida woman attacked by a gator, tried to stop it by going pew pew pew.
Pew 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 pew. I was being cartoony. I wasn't being serious.
Okay. All right. So few before we get out of here, the biggest movers, updated the rankings. This is the biggest movers list that I had from my rankings at the beginning of August when we started the draft season to now. We already talked about Ken Walker. He dropped quite a bit. One of the biggest movers up at running back, despite being on a terrible offense, is Keontae Ingram, who is the clear number 2. There was a brief time where it was like, hey, the Cardinals might have 2 running backs. They might pull the Packers situation where they don't even have a third. For everybody out there that wants to go and check, this depth chart is about as abysmal as it could get. And I just wanted to make sure I said his last name correctly because I even had to double check. And I had to go to Emory Hunt to be like, I don't have a lot on this dude. What do you have? By the way, Emory Hunt, one of the best in the game. The third option behind James Conner and Keontae Ingram is Amari DeMercado. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't DeMercado. It's DeMercado. Yes, you've never heard that. I know there's like people, 99.9% of the people like don't even know because again, I didn't even watch film on him. I have no idea. Like I was like, Emory, tell me about this exactly. the big tell here is that Keontae Ingram. So because it's the Cardinals, though, are you interested, Lauren, in taking a flyer in the 13th, 14th round on Ingram?
This is such a good question. Normally, if we're in this, as you say, abysmal type of situation, I would ideally like to avoid the entire situation. However, because this is so gross when it comes to the quarterback, just absolute nebula that's going on over there. We have no clue. I don't know if I used that word correctly in that sentence, but y'all know what I mean. I actually do think that they're going to have to rely on the run a lot more than they want to. So I might take a flyer here on Ingram.
By the way, if you get a chance, go look up DeMarco's picture. He looks like he's 37 years old, just so you know. Just throw that out there.
Right on.
Wide receiver. I'm just going to, before we get out of here, we're over time, so I'm going to do this. Risers, fallers at wide receiver, and then the final giveaway. A little bit over, but we have to go a little bit over because football starts next week.
And there's so many things to talk about.
There are, and that's the good thing about it. So these are the 3 biggest risers I had at wide receiver that I was going to bring up on the show. There are a few others. You can check out the article at The Athletic. Again, $1 a month. Of these 3, which riser do you like the rising the most risingest?
Ooh.
So you have Marvin Mims, who might have Jerry Jeudy hurt week 1, maybe even longer. But either way, he has the number 3 role since Tim Patrick got hurt. You have Gabe Davis, who I think fell way too hard, including me in my own projections, after the disappointment from last year. It's like, they'll spread the ball around more. And it's been a hodgepodge at number 3 option on this team where they're even talking about Dalton Kincaid as the 3rd option, which just means to me, I know locked in 100% Gabe Davis is the number 2. So I'm back in on Gabe Davis. Or George Pickens, who we talked about. I'm not a Kenny Pickett fan, but at least he's played well enough to make me feel better about Pickens and Deontay. Yep. So Mims, Gabe, and Pickens, who do you like the rising the most of?
This
Which is a weird way to
it's
say
hard, but I'm going to go Pickens. I am going to go Pickens here. I like all of them, but I'm going to go Pickens. I like his risiness, the rising most of the risers.
And give him some good yeast. Pour it like the
Oh, that actually reminds me. I need to make a bread bowl for my spinach artichoke dip for Sunday.
There you go. Don't forget, bread bowl Sunday. Are you having a draft or something?
No, not this Sunday. The following Sunday. It just reminded me that I need to make sure I have all my ingredients because it takes a couple hours to make my bread bowl.
Okay. So last one. These 3 fell the furthest. And one of them is somebody you brought up or said you would take earlier in the show. Isaiah Hodgins, because he's not the 1 or 2. They've been treating Slayton and Paris Campbell as the 1 and 2, and it's been a mess after that. We thought Hodgins, I thought Hodgins after last year showed enough that, hey, he could be one of the 1 and 2. But it's Hodgins is the 3. He's also got a healthy Sterling Shepard alongside or behind him playing about the same position.
Our fave.
And potentially Jalen Hyatt at some point. Kadarius Toney moved down a lot. Also because at the beginning of August, he wasn't hurt yet. So that was a big part of it. And then Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk didn't move that far. Again, this is relative of biggest fallers. He fell from the high 20s to the low 20s just because digging into it more when all 3 were healthy. We know the touchdowns about Kittle, but I was looking at the target shares. And a lot of Ayuk's target share success came before Brock Purdy, and it dropped some with Brock Purdy. And I still think this could be all 3 are almost identical, like 18%. But Debo's got the rushing upside, so he kind of wins that battle. So of those 3, who do you think deserved to fall the furthest?
This is a good one, but I think it's Toney.
Just because of the injury? If it wasn't for the injury. All right, well, then you have to take a second place. Now I'm curious.
Okay.
Hodgins or Ayuk?
I'll go Ayuk.
Okay. Yep. Same concern about the target
yes.
distribution?
It is. It's about target distribution. And I had so many people at various drafts be like, oh, I got this great value on Brandon Ayuk. Like, I understand that. But however, there is Deebo Samuel. There is George Kittle. But his success came before Brock Purdy. Like, we're in a different regime now, my friends. So I think
that being Brandon Ayuk for everybody. The phrasing made it sound like George Kittle. I know everybody's gonna be like, George Kittle got all his touchdowns for Brock Purdy. I knew what you were saying.
Sorry about that. If that was very ambiguous, I apologize. I'm talking about Brandon Ayuk prior to Brock Purdy was more successful, was less successful when Brock Purdy became the starter. Is what I meant to say. Thank you.
Fewer successful. All right,
something like that.
Final giveaway. This is for the year of FTN Plus, so that means everybody can win it. Which, by the way, a reminder: everybody go flood Apple Podcasts with complaints or not complaints.
I'm doing it right after the show.
Oh, Jay Fox, if you want to throw the graphic up again real quick, it's the report a concern. There you go. Report a concern, and just report the concern. It says crashes every time I try to subscribe. you suck. You don't have to say you suck, but they probably don't respond if you say you suck.
Put an angry
but
emoji
flood
there
them.
too. They'll take it way more serious.
Yes. Emoji world. All right. So last one. Here we go. FTN Plus. The rotating spinning wheel is rotating, and it goes to Jonathan D. Hill 24. So Jonathan D. Hill, congratulations for your year of FTN Plus. Jonathan D. Hill and the first person, Redixis, just let me know you won.
Expeditious?
Yes. We will be back on Monday for more of this insanity. Monday, we're going to be talking about waivers. There are week 1 waivers because a lot of people have their drafts and then lock rosters until week 1 hits. So we're going to talk in week 1 waivers and then week 1 rankings next Wednesday. And if you want the final draft prep this Saturday, which is going to be interesting because I'm going to be doing the show with Lauren and Meany. I almost forgot his name. Chris Meany. My draft starts immediately after. I told everybody they're not allowed to come in the door until afterwards. So we'll see if that actually works. And we might get pounding on the door on Saturday morning, 9 to 11 a.m. But we will see you Monday or Saturday or whatever. We hate you, Apple, but we don't. Just don't cancel us.
Report a concern.